You're in the right place one more time for the Utah-Colorado game to break down. We're going to get to that. Usually I put this video out the day after Colorado plays, but since it was the last game of the season, I said, I'll put it out this week, and I'm glad I did. Much respect to Shedeur Sanders. I want to start right then and there. That kid is a professional. He's gotten hit so many times, most sacked quarterback in the nation, showed up almost every single game except for this last one, and we found out the reason he didn't. The man had a fracture in his back. The Tony Romo treatment. Now, I got so much flack for actually saying my experience. I knew, you could tell he was on pain medication. He was getting a shot before the game. You could see in the first half he was looser than he was in the second half, even though he may not have taken that many hits. The point, everything that happened, he had a fracture in his back. They released that information today. The kid broke his back and never once on the outside, on the field, blame any lineman that we saw. Not once. He got up, he hung in the pocket, he threw the ball. That is a professional. That is a quarterback that you entrust in your franchise. I want to say much respect to what he's done and his production this year, despite running for his life, despite always getting hit, despite getting his back broken for the team. And yeah, I'm going to talk about coaching changes too. All right, I'm gonna just keep it real. This is people I've talked to, but I kind of knew this before. You can't have the most sacked quarterback in the nation in college as an offensive line coach. And by the way, the quarterback kind of broke his back because of how many hits he took, and expect to keep your job. No, that doesn't happen. I get it. You came in, this is a whole new group. Offensive linemen need to mesh. I get that, but no. And I get you didn't call the offensive scheme as the offensive line coach, but he's got to go. The offensive coordinator, the one that started the spring and fall, I'm sorry, Coach Lewis, I'm told it ain't going to happen. The spring's not going to happen for you, buddy. First of all, him and the offensive line coach were a package deal. They came to Colorado together. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But again, it's the coach's son, and the coach's son has gotten his back broke. I mean, that was kind of the plain language that I was told. Hey, it is what it is. We all know Tim Brewster has resigned. I think Tim was more of a I want to go back home type of thing. He's worked for 40 years. I don't think that was a force out kind of situation. He's good as a motivator, but we'll see if he gets another coaching job closer to his home or wherever he likes to be. That part was not a forced situation, and from my understanding, it wasn't a surprise either. You know, there were only so many years that he wanted to keep going with this. All right, so now what now? From my understanding, defense coordinator, coach, you should be cool. Special teams up in the air, but there's going to be a whole lot more people coming in, including Coach Sapp. Now, I don't know if he's going to be an official D-line coach. I haven't got word on that, but he is going to be heavily involved with the defensive linemen. So if that's an assistant coach, who knows? But he's going to be there. I had an interesting question on our community page that I will want people to weigh in on the comments. Do you think it's a mistake or not that Coach Sapp comes on to the program? And the only reason why I say that, he looks like a teacher. He really does. When you hear him talk, when he was on NFL Network, when he talks about football in general, he's a teacher. You can see that. It's the abrasiveness where he's talking about his own teammates. You know, Keyshawn Johnson came to mind, even though I'm glad they kind of worked their situation out. He's going to say what's on his mind, all right? And that can rub people the wrong way. More specifically, that can rub kids the wrong way. Coaches are not 100% absolute. This ain't 1980s no more. You can't just yell and cuss me out and expect me to just look blankly in the future. No, you got to actually have a relationship with me, or I'm gonna go and find another college. And I don't think that's a problem with kids nowadays. That's a problem with the coach. No, I'm not here for being cussed out because I'm doing the best I can. You can go F yourself, okay? So my overall point is, can Coach Sapp mold to that? And I don't know. We're going to have to see, and I'm hoping that he can. I don't want it to be anything but a value add up there in Boulder. So what now? December 4th is coming up. All the announcements for coaches, I think, are going to be in place, especially the offensive coordinator. I don't know if it's going to be Pat Shermer. There's been a lot of rumblings about Byron Leftwich, who is a Brady mold. He coached one longtime respected NFL player, played really, really great for a lot of years. I think he's 10 years plus, went to Arizona, really helped out that offense, the Cardinals, and then he became the offensive coordinator at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady left, and I felt like he was the scapegoat. He was the first person out because of coming off a Super Bowl year. You didn't do as well, so they kind of picked on him to be the fall guy, which I think is unfortunate, but it is what it is. That's how the NFL works nowadays. But he's definitely been working with Tom Brady. He understands what Shedeur wants to do and how he needs to be protected. He's a gifted offensive mind. He's played the position before. And what I think Coach Leftwich could possibly bring is slowing the tempo down. You can have all these great skill players, but if the offensive line's not blocking, or if the scheme needs to be adjusted because the film has shown certain weaknesses, which you saw throughout the year, the defense is going to be able to win on first and second down and third down. And then it's a 3 and out and your defense is back on the field. So many games throughout the season were lost because of the defense being tired in the end of the first half or in the second half. You could point to Oregon State. You could point to Stanford. It really is just that simple. So you can have all the best conditioning in the world, but if you're playing a physical game and it's always 3 and outs, the offense might be fresh, but the defense is fighting tooth and nail, and they're tired, and it happens. And then late scores happen and make the game that was close further away. I think that the Buffaloes are in a prime position to bring in an offensive coordinator, NFL mind, to work with a professional like Shedeur. And to me, the offense was too fast later on, well, in the mid to late part of the year, because people had film on them and defenses were finally winning and causing too many 3 and outs. You had to be more methodical. Just like Chip Kelly adjusted his style at UCLA, he won way more games than was expected, and it looks like he's going to keep his job because he has a really, really good football team. And even with the limited quarterback play, he's able to move the ball and score. All right, let me move on. All right, and let me get to the breakdown of the game. I think that we all knew going into it that the Colorado Buffaloes were not going to be favored in that game. That's why I didn't really worry about a game plan. Shedeur did not play. We found out later, like I said earlier, he broke his back. He had a fracture in his back. And for the most part, it was really a competitive game. The Buffaloes could have won that game. I definitely think that if Shedeur would have played, he could have made a difference in that game, and the Buffaloes could have ended the year 5-7 instead of 4-8. Now, you want to look at all the positives coming out of this year. Every game except for 2, maybe 3, was super competitive. They gave away games. You think about the Stanford game, you think about the Oregon State game. Those could have been easy wins. But for this particular game, I think the refs really screwed over Travis Hunter. I've said that throughout multiple times in the year. I don't know what's going on with that. You look at the Stanford game with that phantom, call where he was praying in the end zone and they gave him a flag, which is still, like, I don't understand that part. And in this game, they took away 2 or 3 touchdowns where he actually was in the field of play. He was able to tightrope, or he caught a ball in the end zone and he had control of the ball even though the ball hit the ground. And it's like, what are the rules? What's a catch? Because he caught the ball. Either way, Travis is him. Like Deion said, that man is the best, for sure, to me, in my opinion, best corner in the country. Like, he showed it on a high level. He can, just like any corner, they can get thrown on, they can get caught on, but technique-wise, his hand-eye coordination, his ability to intercept the football, let's just look at his stats. His first-year stats in Power 5 conference with the reigning Heisman winner, even though he didn't play that game. I wish he would have played that game. Look at the things he was able to put up. All right, 3 interceptions, 5 pass deflections. That's winning, and that's not him getting thrown on as much. And remember, he missed 3.5 games. He was knocked out of that Colorado State game where he was really, really making a difference. Imagine him playing against USC. I know he would have been able to get his hands on the football sooner or later, because Caleb did, in fact, throw an interception. Now, on the offensive side, he had 721 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns on the year. And again, I only bring that up because in the Utah game, they took away 2 touchdowns. So it's like 7 reception touchdowns. That man is a baller. He, to me, is a baller. And I'm going to go ahead and say that he was the best receiver on the field, respect to Xavier Weaver. I think Travis Hunter has a ways to go as far as route running goes, but he has that yard after catch ability you can't coach. That north-south ability to make somebody miss and then get upfield. He can make a play, and his body control is some of the best I've seen, like, in the last however many years. He's a really, really good prospect at getting his feet down, adjusting his body according to the ball. It's just uncanny. Like, again, it's the stuff you can't coach. You can coach a kid to be in a 3-yard window when the ball is released, but to be able to contort your body, catch it, make a person miss, and be the difference between a first down and a touchdown, you never know. It's Travis. And I'm just going to say this. I'm going to get to it in a little bit. I think he should focus on being a cornerback. I know that's going to be controversial. I think he should just focus on being a cornerback. All right, but let me finish this game. The game ended up being relatively close, but everyone knew that the Buffaloes were going to lose it. And that ended the season. So again, what's next is the transfer portal starts on December. Coach Prime's coming up, the documentary show on Amazon. I can't wait to watch that. But on the back end, it's everything else. Who's coming back? Who's going to get in the transfer portal? Who's going to stay? I think Cormani, is a really competitive guy. I think he appreciates the playing time he eventually got. I think going into the spring, he could be worlds better if he works on his technique, is where he is, and is physical. When he got in the game, sometimes when people ran at him, he was easily blocked. He couldn't beat blocks. If he can get off a wide receiver block and make tackles, he's going to be right there. And some freshmen aren't all world like that. Some freshmen you got to gradually develop, and I think he's one of those prospects. The problem is he can go anywhere in the country right now. He can go to Mississippi State. He can go to Auburn. He can go to UCLA. He can go wherever. Any defensive coordinator would love to have him and be the unquestioned starter. And Coach Prime kind of talked about this, having the ability to write a check. Like, we love the fact that we want to develop kids, but we gotta actually put money out to get some of these kids. It's just the reality of it. All right, the last thing I wanted to say, again, I want to just go back on the Travis Hunter piece. He's the best cornerback to me in the country. Just been watching him throughout the season, his technique. He got into trouble in the Stanford game, and I think it was twofold. I really do think he has to be, I know he wants to play, but he has to be able to not be the Teflon Don. I'm the best, and no matter what's going on, people have to know that. That was Prime's thing. That doesn't necessarily have to be your thing. The Stanford game, to me, illuminated that. He took a shot to his back as a wide receiver on a touchdown pass. He said it on his podcast. That was a harder hit than he took in Colorado State. Him having a hamper back going against a very physical wide receiver, meaning the wide receiver doesn't mind if you're right next to him, a Michael Irvin type of receiver. He wants to be physical. He wants to beat you up. And you got to remember, Travis Hunter was coming off of the Colorado State time missing games. He was not necessarily in his shape for football shape. He was gassed in the second half. That's how Stanford came back. And a lot of it was throwing on his side to his man. I think it was a coaching lapse not giving him help. I think it was a coaching lapse not understanding that he took a big shot and he may need to be at least brought to the other side to be the corner closer to Colorado sideline and providing help on the physical wide receiver. That one-on-one game was very much like the Super Bowl where the Rams beat the Bengals and they picked on Eli Apple. Everyone knew it was going to Eli Apple's side. And that's what I saw Stanford do. They were like, he's hurt, he's tired, he's gassed. Let's just keep throwing on that side. And to not do anything about it, I think that at the end cost the Buffaloes that victory, or at least prevented them from Stanford from doing something else. Like, you're gonna have to win the game in a different way. But I'm saying all that to say, he's the best corner. Is he the best receiver in football? No. Even if you give him credit for those touchdowns in, the against Utah, you add in another 300 something yards because they had to pass the ball around in the games he missed after Colorado State. He's the best receiver on the Colorado Buffaloes team. But is he the best receiver in the country, which is my overall point? Is he top 5 in the country? Is he top 10 in the country? I would say no. And I'm not saying he can't do that. He can obviously graduate to great and be a dominant wide receiver. He's a dominant wide receiver for Colorado. But again, is he the best wide receiver in the country? The answer is no. And if I'm an NFL general manager, I would love to have you as doing spy duty. I would love to have you get 20 to 30 snaps in the NFL game. But if you're not if you're not the first wide receiver on the team, why would I give you snaps on the offensive side of the ball like you're doing in Colorado when you could focus on being a cornerback? He can be a generational cornerback. I really do believe that. I do not believe he can be a generational wide receiver. And I'm not saying he can't be a good wide receiver. I think he is an NFL wide receiver. A second, third kind of option guy. Absolutely he is. He can do that. What he can do with his routes, how he runs the ball, how he catches the ball. Absolutely. But when you go to the next level and you need that top 5 pick, they're going to put you on one side. And that's not just me talking. That's some of the scouts I've talked to as well. All right, y'all. Talk too long. I hope you all enjoyed the season and Heritage Sports.